Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Learn with Jason. Today on the show, we have Shadid. Hey, Shadid, thank you so much for hanging out with us. How are you doing today?
Pretty good, pretty good. Thanks for having me today.
I am thrilled to have you on the show.
Mhm.
So, for folks who aren't familiar with your work, do you want to give us a little bit of a background on yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm Shadid. I work for Fauna. So Fauna is a serverless database with native GraphQL API, and we are a globally distributed database. And Fauna works really great with Jamstack type of application. So yeah, I work for. I'm a developer advocate. Yeah, I've been coding for some time. Before Fauna, I used to work for IBM, and
Oh,
really,
you
really glad to be here
you were at
today.
IBM too?
Oh yeah, I did.
Nice, nice. What team were you on?
I was actually on a front end team, so the Carbon framework.
Wait, you were on
So
Carbon?
yeah, I
Oh,
was.
that's
Yeah,
amazing. So I don't know. Were you there when Robin was the manager?
yeah, I think so.
Nice. Okay,
Um,
that's super cool. So Robin Cannon at IBM used to be my manager as well before he moved over to Carbon. This is so interesting for everybody who's watching. I'm sorry. Anyways, so let's talk a little bit about what we're going to do today. Now that neither of us is at IBM anymore. Um, so one of the things that I find really fascinating about front end development in general is that we saw a push a while back, and we saw this in bootcamp curriculums, and we saw this in the way people would talk about things, where you see this pressure to become a full stack dev. And what that meant in 2010 is like you had to be able to get into like virtual machines and configure Docker and go stand up a database on AWS or Google Cloud or whatever, and then figure out how do you do scaling, how do you lock down the security, how do you do all of these really complicated things, right? And then on top of that, you also had to be able to build a front end and all the middleware in between that would connect those things, and you had to be able to do the styling and the front end to make this whole experience look and feel nice to use. Um, as we've moved into today in the 20s, it feels like that gap has significantly closed because it's not really feasible to become an expert in literally everything, right? Like it's just
mhm.
you can't be seven devs in a trench coat. Like we've got to specialize. And so I think that what we're seeing is, we've seen front end and specifically this idea of like front end developers who know enough serverless to be dangerous are capable of building what would be considered full stack apps, but without having to get into container management and database scaling and figuring out how to do like massive security and horizontal scaling and database sharding and all of these things that get really, really, really complicated. Um, so this is a fascinating time to be a front end developer because you almost de facto become a full stack developer. Uh, and that's what we're talking about today, right? Is building a full stack app. But why don't you talk a little bit about what the actual plan is here, so that everybody who's maybe intimidated by the idea of full stack can get a sense of like what do we actually build in a full stack app?
Yeah, absolutely. So basically, a full stack app is technically when you are able to store data in your data layer, where when you're able to retrieve that data and you're able to do all sorts of things. For example, like if you have a application like Facebook or Reddit, like all this social media type of
Mm-hmm.
application where you can um, pretty much do CRUD operations where data is stored somewhere in the server, and then user can log back in and you can retrieve that data and share things with the users in between or retrieve your data, things
Yeah.
like that. So pretty
And
much
CRUD is an acronym meaning create, read, update, delete. That's like when you talk about apps, those are the four buckets of operations that you're going to do against any database.
yeah. And previously, like if you're if you know something about Ruby on Rails or PHP from back in the yeah from back in the days, like you have to have like this entire stack running pretty much to do all these like backend operations. You have to have a dedicated database that is connected to your PHP application, which is purely a backend application, and you sort of have to create REST endpoint, or you can you can do all sorts of stuff like MVC was a pattern back in the days, things like that. Yeah, like you had to do all sorts of like you had to write a ton of code to save your data, save user sessions, authenticate your users, manage like user state cookies. Like there's a tons of stuff that went into that. However, now with rise of Jamstack and all these wonderful services that are available, Netlify, Fauna, we're going to talk about Fauna as a data layer, Netlify functions, Next.js, all this stuff. You can be purely a front end developer, and you should still be able to pretty much create all the functionality of a backend stack relatively quick and easily. So that's like huge. Like, you can think of creating an entire startup in a week. You can roll out a product very fast, very quickly, and that's what we're kind of trying to do here today. We're gonna create like a really simple sample application to demonstrate the power of Jamstack, Next.js, Netlify functions, Fauna as a database.
Nice. Yeah. I think that's really interesting because, we're looking at we've got 82 minutes, and what you just described is ambitious as hell. We're talking about setting up a database. We're talking about setting up a new app. We're talking about like building a front end, building some middleware, building a back end, all in the span of what, by the time I stop talking about it, it will be about 75 minutes, right? So this is not a short order for what we can build, but with this new kind of model of like, we can combine existing tools that take the heavy lifting of like the boilerplate part, the like base level foundation that is the same for 95% of apps. We don't have to do that anymore. We just get to work on what our app needs, what our app does that's different, right? So we're only building features, we're only building value. We're not doing boilerplate or foundation because that's handled by tools that take care of that for us. So because we have so much to cover, I'm actually going to move us right along into programming so that we can get as far as we can here. So let me do a quick shout out before we get started to our captioning. We've got Rachel from White Coat Captioning here today doing those captions for us. Thank you so much, Rachel, for being here. And that is made possible through the support of our sponsors, Netlify, Fauna, and Auth0, all of whom are kicking in to make this show more accessible to more people, which means a lot to me. We're talking to Shadid today, and I am in the wrong window, so let's pull this up. It is Hey Shadid here, so you can get over there and give that a quick follow. Let me just shut that down. Yeah, get out of here. There we go. Get over there, give it a follow. And we're going to be talking about, so Fauna is going to be our database. We're going to use Netlify functions for our serverless layer. So let me drop that in here. And then we're going to use Next.js to build the app itself. And that's as much as I know. What else should I, what should I do next, Shadid?
Yeah, so we are also going to try to hook up Algolia, although like it's optional. We might not have the time to do it. But we might just touch a little bit. So Algolia is another great service for full text search, and it also jives really well with Netlify function, Fauna, and all the Next.js. And for storage, I think we're going to use Cloudinary, which is just storing blobs on the internet. It's a storage service. So yeah.
Blobs on the Internet is actually the title of my memoir.
It's pretty cool.
It's not, you know. It's okay, so what is my first step here? Like where should I start?
Yeah, let's just start with the diagram just to show
Ah,
people
that's
like
right.
what
That's
we're
right.
building.
Diagram here.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is a like a quick and dirty architectural diagram. And I recognize logos, but why don't you walk us through what's happening here?
Yeah, so our main front end application is written in Next.js here. Okay. And so what we're doing, we're communicating Next.js through our application. Like our application layer is going to be uh, solely Next.js. So that's where our front end code lives.
Mm-hmm.
Now, in Next 12, when you put functions in your /API directory, all those functions actually becomes Netlify functions.
Mm-hmm.
So they automatically become your serverless functions. So
Mm-hmm.
we're going to take a look at that. So that's where Netlify comes in. Netlify functions comes in. Okay, we're going to deploy this whole stack to Netlify as well. So you're going to see how easy it is to deploy to Netlify. And we're going to use GraphQL to easily communicate to Fauna. So Fauna is going to be our data layer. So this is pretty much Fauna. Fauna is a database, but you can use it to do a lot of your backend stuff. And we're going to see like how easy it is to actually use Fauna to act as a backend service. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And on top of that, we can have Algolia to do some full text searching and all sorts of searching that you see in Amazon or TikTok. You can do a ton with Algolia.
Mm-hmm.
We won't probably have time to touch too much onto that.
Sure.
Yeah, and a Cloudinary is just we're just storing our videos or blogs in Cloudinary. All right.
Excellent. Okay, so let me get that out of the way, and then if I want to get started here, I'm expecting I need to create some code. Am I starting with an empty folder, or do we want to use a starter?
Yeah, let's start with a starter kit. So I have created a starter kit.
Okay, so I'm going to grab this starter kit, and I'm going to GitHub repo clone. All right, yeah. And then I'm going to
hey, Jason, do you want to do this, or do you want me to code along, or should I do the coding?
I mean, we can do it a couple ways. I can open this up in a VS Code live share session, or I'm always happy to be hands-on keyboard. That's easy for me. Why can't I? Oh yeah, this is what I want. So I want to GitHub repo fork, and we're gonna go learn with. Oh wait, I need to move into it. We're gonna go into what was it, TikTok? Yep. And then I'm going to GitHub repo fork, and we'll put it in learn with Jason, TikTok starter. Oh wait, hold on. What? Fine. I'm gonna do it the other way. I'm gonna fork it from here because I don't remember how to do it. So let me fork this, and I want to fork it to the learn with Jason repo. Don't need any of that. Okay. And so then we're going to say git remote add git remote rename origin upstream. Does that work? Let's see how much I remember. Git remote v. Aha, I did it. Git remote add origin is going to be learn with Jason. I better git at github.com. Learn with Jason and TikTok starter.git.
All right. Awesome.
Git foo, man. All right, here we go. So I have that set up, and I can open up the code here to look at it.
Mm-hmm. If you want to do the live share, I can hop into it as well.
Yeah, let's do it. I'll get get set up here. Continue. Okay. All right. And okay, I've copied that. So then I'm going to drop it in your Twitter DMs.
Awesome.
So there's a link for you to join. And then I'm going to go back to your profile and come back here. All right. So this should allow you to join up.
And it's opening. Just give me 1 second. Okay, open in Visual Studio Code.
I think this should show once you join here.
Perhaps. Didn't open. Oh no. Okay, let's see. Open in Visual Studio Code. All right.
Okay, so we're just waiting for the live share servers to connect all the pipes. Or I guess the tubes. As we all know, the internet is just a series of connected tubes.
Yep. And oh no.
Is it
It
not?
says version mismatched. Oh no.
Crap. Okay, I thought I was in the latest, but maybe I'm not. Restart to update. Let me try again. Here it comes. Here's the service. Let me get that live share going again. And okay, we're just going to throw that in your DMs one more time.
Okay.
And there it goes. All right, this time it's going to work. First try. Chat, how many of y'all have used... Not now. I don't know what it's doing, and I'm unhappy about this. Okay, we might have to... You might have to just tell me what to code if this doesn't work here in a second.
Okay. Fine. Just give me 1 second. Just going to... And joining collaboration. Direct connection not supported in the browser. Oh no.
Okay.
I think I'm in. Yep, I'm in your folder. All right.
Can you... Let's see. I don't... Oh, here you are. Here you are. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you are.
Okay.
All right. So awesome. Where should I go? Like, where are we starting?
Okay, so first of all, let's do npm run dev just to see what we got with the starter.
Okay,
right.
So we're... Oh, wait. I need to npm install, don't I?
Yeah.
All right, let's run the npm install. And then this will take a second. Here we go. Let me run npm run dev again. What don't you like? Not supported.
Are you...
What? Oh, hold on. I'm in... For whatever reason, my terminal opened in node 12. Let me just change that.
There you go.
Start server. We're running at 3000. Let's get this going here. So here's 3000. I'm going back out. And showtime. Hey, we've got ourselves a starter app, right? We can see hello, Next.js, Fauna, GraphQL. We've got an upload button, a login button, and this logo. And all right, this is cool. Okay, so do you want to walk us through kind of where we're starting, and then we can jump in? It's
Yeah,
already unhappy.
absolutely.
Open login button. Okay, I'm assuming we're going to fix that. All right.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So let's dive into the pages directory.
Okay.
And in the pages, yeah, in the pages directory, we're going to go to the index.js file. And this is where this is our entry point of the app. And, this is our home page. And this is where we're going to have all the TikTok feed show up. So this is where we're gonna put them.
Hmm.
Um, so now, if you take a look at the underscore app.js file,
How about
this is
this?
where,
I'm following you now, so I should just jump to wherever you go.
oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, here we
So
go.
yeah. So now here we're in the app JS file.
Hmm.
So you're going to notice a couple things here. So first of all, we have our components wrapped into this layout component.
Hmm.
And in Next.js, a layout component gives you, global styling pretty much,
And
a
that
global
is
layout.
to kind of look out here. That's this header and these login buttons and all that stuff is what's up here, right? That's
Yeah,
all coming out of layout.
yeah. So
Okay.
let's dive into the layout. And again, like this component has some, the login, logout button,
Hmm.
that upload button, then the nav bar and all that stuff. So this layout is under the components folder.
Hmm.
And here we also have a login and a sign up component. So when you click on that login button in the nav bar, it shows up a modal. So those
Right.
modals are just this. And again, this is just HTML at this point. Like none of these things do anything.
Right.
So it's not an alert. All right. So if you're if you're familiar with React, you should be able to follow along. No problem. Like this is just some simple forms with um, some form handling and handle changes and all that. And yeah, it
Great.
wraps all the components. Um, all right. Now, the next thing is the ApolloProvider. And again, we're using ApolloProvider to kind of call GraphQL. So
Right.
yeah, so we're gonna call Fauna GraphQL to query data from Fauna. And again, we're gonna use Fauna database as our backend.
Right.
Now, yeah. So let's take a look at what inside ApolloProvider. So this provider component comes from Apollo Client Library. And
Hmm.
again, we installed this package from Apollo, and this takes in a client object,
Hmm.
which is also provided for you in the Apollo client here. So this is all provided for you in the starter code. Like this is all like some basic GraphQL setup, you
Hmm.
know, checking for checking for headers and stuff like that, like what GraphQL endpoints we're gonna hit,
Hmm.
things like that, memory cache, and stuff like that. So again, these are all boilerplates. You don't really need to go deep into it. It's just all provided for you. All right.
Okay. And so what is ultimately happening here, if I'm reading this correctly, is with the Apollo client down here at the bottom on lines 22 to 25, we
Mm-hmm.
have the cache, which is the way that Apollo says if you make a query, Apollo will hold on to that so that you don't have to make the same query multiple times, and it just makes things, a little more efficient. That's why you would use a client versus just making a fetch request. And then the link is so that we can pass along whatever we're passing in as well as authorization headers. Um, and so it looks like we are using cookies to get the Fauna session, and then we're getting a token out of that session here. Good.
Mm-hmm.
And then we just pass that along in as a bearer token. And so if I'm understanding correctly, what that means is whenever we send a request to Apollo client, that request will include this authorization header.
Yes, exactly.
Great.
And
Okay.
yeah, yeah. And on line 12, if you take a look, again, here we have the Fauna public secret
Mm-hmm.
token. So this is the token that we're going to generate in Fauna
Got it.
and plug it into our environment variable. So um,
Should I go and should I like deploy this to Netlify?
yes, let's deploy this
Okay.
to Netlify just to
So
get started.
let's get it deployed. So what I'm going to do is stop the server here, and then I'm going to check. We haven't made any changes yet. So let me git push upstream origin main and make sure that we've got all the code up there. I think we do. We do. And then what I'm going to do next is I'm going to run netlify init, and that will start setting up our Netlify site. I'm going to create and configure a new one. We will put it on my team, and we'll say TikTok clone. Oh, somebody already did that one. So let's go TikTok LWJ. Yeah, that's fine. And our build command, it auto-detected npm run build. The directory to deploy is .next. I think that'll get changed by the next function. What is that? That is a lie. Let's try that one more time. Huh, what are you doing? Well, that's annoying. Let's go set it up manually, I guess. So I just ran Netlify open to get this in here. And so you can see it set up the site, but I need to hook it up to a Git repo. So I'm going to go to build and deploy, and we want to link to Git. So I'm going to choose GitHub, and that'll get us authorized. And then in the learn with JSON org, I can get TikTok here. We're going to deploy the main branch. Yep, all that is good. Let's deploy the site. And what we should see in here is it should pick up like the next, should pick up that it's a next site and all those things, and just make us, get us a running site. So let's let that run.
Yeah, just to give you guys some context, there is a netlify.toml file in here. So that's also, it's actually using the Next.js plugin
Nice.
to do anything.
Good, good. What's up, Alex? Welcome, everybody. And did you, let me look at this netlify.toml. So you'd actually, for future projects, you actually don't even need to do this. We'll automatically install it for you. So Netlify knows that it's a Next project, and will just automatically set the right things up so that Next works.
Awesome.
So here we go. It's all doing this stuff. And in fact, let me look just to make sure, because we want to make sure we're using the, okay, you didn't install a version of the plugin. Good. All right, that's what we want. So that way it'll use the latest version, which is what we're after. And we're function bundling. Almost. There we go, deploying, and this will be done in just a second here.
All right. Yeah. So while this is happening, we can go to fauna.com.
Okay. So this, whoa. Yeah. So that deployed, but pieces got missed. What, wonder what changed here. Okay. We can debug that. In the meantime, let's go to Fauna, and I'm going to log in because I've already got an account. And I'll log in with my Netlify account because I'm already signed into that for sure. Here we go. And all right, so I have a bunch of databases already. I'm going to create a new one, and we're going to call this TikTok clone. Do I want?
We can choose classic for now.
Okay.
Because classic is the simplest.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so I've got that, and then we've got all of this kind of database collections, indexes. So GraphQL is the thing that I gravitated toward because I saw that in the diagram. What's my next step here?
Yeah. So next step, okay, so we're gonna show you that how easy it is to get your backend up and running. So all you have to do, we're gonna go back to the code. So let's create a schema.graphql file.
Okay.
All right. So
am I not following you anymore? I'll keep following you. All right.
All right. So let's create a type. So let's create a type called user. And our users will have names, obviously.
Okay.
And users will also have emails, so which is going to be a string. Actually, let me just copy paste a couple things. So users will also have a password, right? So this is our user model. And for every user, we are going to have posts, so users can post. So let's also copy paste the post model. And again, Fauna is so Fauna is a NoSQL database, but it can be structured as a SQL database as well. So here we have a has many relationship between user and posts. And just to do it in GraphQL, so user posts is an array of post type, and the post has ID. Well, I don't think I need ID here. So the post has a title, tags, and it belongs to a user.
Got it.
Okay, so this is our basic GraphQL schema. Now all we have to do is we're just going to upload this in Fauna.
Okay, so just upload this straight up. So I'm going to go over here, import schema, and then we'll go to GitHub, learn with JSON. Here's our TikTok starter. Got a schema.graphql, so I'm going to open that. In it goes, and then if I look at the docs, I can see that I have here's my CRUD. So I can create, I can read, which is the find, I can update, and I can delete. And it looks like I can do that for both users and posts.
Yep. Okay. And that's it. Like we pretty much have a backend right now. So we have a database. We pretty much have a pseudo backend. Again, so just to clarify, so Fauna is at its core, it is a database. So we're not like AppSync or Hasura. So they're more like application servers. That being said, you can run AppSync, Hasura, and you can still use Fauna as your database, and combine them.
Got it. Okay.
So Fauna at its core, it's a very flexible database that just gives you GraphQL native APIs. Okay. So at its core, it's a database, but you can use it as a backend as well. So I kind of wanted to emphasize that. All right, so cool. So now what we can do, we can generate a security key. So right now we can't really, we can't really connect to the database. So we can create a security key. So let's make it a server role, and you can name it, Next.js.
Do I need to keep this off screen here?
Yeah, you can just hit save.
Okay, so this is a secret, and now I don't want that secret to be visible to anybody, right?
You don't. However, after this stream, we can delete that.
Okay, so let's do that. We'll roll the key over before we take this thing live. But so we've got a secret key here, and then I need to get that into our environment. And so we called that, I can just do a netlify env set, and then it was in Apollo client. We had next public fauna secret. So let me create that. Next public fauna secret. And so when I set this, that will send it up to netlify. And it says it now set that environment variable. And if I go and look in here, we can also see it. Like I'll go to my deploy or my settings and build and deploy, and then I look at my environment, and now it exists, right? So that's a really, really handy way. Like the Netlify CLI has gotten such a big power up in the last, year or so. It's really, really nice to use now. And that's one of the things I love about it. So now I've got this secret set, which means that I should theoretically be able to log in, except we don't have a user yet. So do I need to create a user first?
So let's go ahead and create a .env.local as well, and have that secret here so we can kind of debug it locally.
Okay.
So
it'll also pick up if I run Netlify dev now, it'll pull in that Fauna secret. So it'll run for us, which is really nice. So now we have a local version of it running with the environment variable from Netlify, so we don't have to manage like multiple environment files. Makes my life a little bit easier.
Oh, that's really neat. I did not know that trick. That's really neat.
And chat, I see y'all trying to use the commands today. I have not had the chance to fix the overlay yet. Something is wrong, and I haven't had a chance to look at what it is yet. So I will debug my overlays, but they're not working today. So sorry about that. Okay, so we have the environment variable set up, which means that we can actually send authorization here. We have
awesome. So let's so the cool thing about Fauna is that it gives you a GraphQL.
Yes.
Oh, sorry. I think I just cut off there for a bit. Sorry.
So Fauna gives us GraphQL, and we can see that when we go.
Jason, just go ahead.
Sorry, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Fauna gives us GraphQL, and I can see that here, right? And it's the same for every account, which is neat. So we've already got it here. What should I do next?
Let's go to the Fauna dashboard.
Okay.
And here, what we can do, not here, the Fauna dashboard. So here. Okay, so here, what we can do, we can create a new user. So let's just create a new mutation. So
mutation, that's right.
Do type mutation. Yeah. I think you have to do type mutation, create user. Let's just create.
Okay, so I'm just using control space auto completes for me. And I don't have any posts, so I can leave that out. And that'll give me like an ID and a name. Okay, so if I run this, it created my user. And then I'm gonna come back out and I can look at my collections, and we get a user. And so one thing that we would want to do in a production database is make sure that we're not sharing this shouldn't be stored in plain text, right? We want to encrypt it.
Yeah.
We don't have time to do that today, but make sure that you are actually using encryption for passwords, or you're going to have a bad time.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna take a look at it in a bit though. Like Fauna does have a built-in support for that.
Oh, nice.
So we'll take a look at it in a bit. I just wanted to show you that. This is
get up and running fast.
Yeah. Okay, so let's create a couple posts. Okay, so let's create. Do
I need my user ID or anything?
Yeah, so we do need that user we just created. So let's just So you can click on the tab and it will open another tab on the top. So
I think I jumped the gun on you, but so we've got a title, and we can do get out. Stop helping. And then we can do, let's get the tags, and we'll just say like test. And then for the author, Is that just the ID?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's just the ID.
All right. And then what we're going to get back is the actual post. So let's just pull back the title, and then I want to pull the author, and this should give me the name. Expected post author relation. Oh, I screwed something up.
Okay, so for author, I think you have to do squiggly bracket and then
Like an ID?
yeah, so it's squiggly bracket and then yeah, so you get rid of that.
Get rid of this.
Yeah, and then ID. And let me take a look at the documentation quick.
Oh, connect to a document of type user. All right. My autocomplete is working now. Well, it was. What just happened? Now is it this one? Let's try. Ta-da!
There you go.
Okay. So then if I go in here and I go query and I want to say find post. Oh, wait. I guess I can find the user by ID, and the ID will be this one. And then I can do name and posts, and in posts I want the title and oh crap, that didn't work. What did I do wrong? Let's see. Here's my user, here's my posts, author, ref, collection, user, and that ends in 8643. So when I go here, my user is 8643. So what have I done wrong here?
Okay, so let's take a look. So, okay, find user by ID, posts. Okay, let's try to run it again. Let's try to run it again. Not sure. Probably didn't connect.
Did I screw this connect up here?
No, but it's showing your name.
Yeah.
Yeah, not sure.
Let's
Maybe we just have to like refresh
let's
the
query.
GraphQL.
Oh, like refresh GraphQL entirely. Let me do that. Let's go in here. No, it doesn't like that. Let's see if we can get find post by ID. So I've got, go to my collections, we get a post, I'll get copy ref. Great. I'm gonna go back to GraphQL.
Yeah.
Find post. And then down here, we should be able to get the title and then the author, and the author should have a name. Okay, so it works this way, but it's not working this way. Interesting. What did we do wrong? Do we need to like create a two-way binding here or anything?
No. This should have this should just work. I think it's okay. We can move along. I think it's just something with the caching or something.
Okay.
Fine. Yeah. We just ignore it for now. Yeah. Just move forward. All right, cool. So now what we can do is we definitely, so if you look at the GraphQL stuff, like we definitely need a way to list all the posts, right? So in order to do that, we can create a custom mutation, a custom query actually. So right now there is no way to get all the posts. So like you can only get posts by ID, right?
Right.
So let's create a new query, and that will give us a query that will give us all the posts.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you want? Are you typing? Okay. Yeah. Gotcha.
Yeah. So, and again, I'm just gonna quickly tell you like what's going on here. So we created a new type query, and we created a list post query, and it returns an array of posts. And here we say a resolver, right? Now, in any GraphQL type of situation, like any GraphQL server, a resolver resolves to some sort of function. In Fauna, it resolves to Fauna query language. So that's like the underlying database language.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so we're going to take a look at it in a bit. So let's go ahead and do save this, and let's go back to our Fauna dashboard in GraphQL, and let's replace the old schema. We don't have to merge, we can just replace it.
Okay.
So the next one, yeah. And it will not delete any of your data. So it's completely safe to do. So now we just upload it. And now if you open up the doc again, you'll see that a list post is available. Okay. All right.
Okay, so we'll get the title, we'll get the author, and I want the name of the author. Let's see, was not implemented yet. Okay, so I need to implement a function, it looks like.
Yes.
Okay.
And this is where, the FQL comes in. So let's go to the function in there. There's a function. All right. So you'll see that that function is not implemented yet.
Mm-hmm.
And again, so I do have a pre-written function for this.
Okay.
And
do you want to just drop it at the bottom here and I can copy paste it out?
Yeah, absolutely. So list post.fql. I'm just going to drop it here, and you can paste it, and I'll just go about explaining it what it means. Yeah.
So all right, let me paste this in, and that, so we start up here. We've got it. We can get the size after and before, and then we have a let, and it says match posts by TS for timestamp.
Yes.
Okay.
So yeah. So and again, like this is all in our documentation site, and I found the most complicated example just to touch base on everything.
Okay.
But yeah, you can look into the data into the documentation to see kind of what it means.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So now when I run this, it says I need an index of post by timestamp. So I'm assuming I need to create an index in indexes.
Yes.
Okay.
So let's go ahead and create an index.
Posts, and we wanted posts by TS.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What do I do here? Like, what's next?
Okay. All right. So actually, let's not do the post by timestamp. Okay, we're gonna get back to this. Okay.
Okay.
So let's go back to our GraphQL schema quickly.
The schema?
Yeah.
Okay.
GraphQL schema. All right. Okay, so here, so just because we have a paginated true, we actually have to create a timestamp manually. We might not have time to do that today, but we'll get back to this one later. Okay.
Okay.
If that's cool. Let's go ahead and trying to get my things. Okay, so let's go ahead and create a login function first. Okay, so all right, so let me retrack a little bit.
Okay.
I kind of wanted to show the list post to resolvers, but I think I jumped the gun on it a little too quickly. Let's create a user register function first, and then we can get to this one in a bit.
Okay.
Okay. So let's yeah. All right, so let's create these two mutations. So like I said, you don't want to hash, like you don't want to create your save your password like that. Exposed in the thing. So what we're going to do is we're going to create two new mutations. So one that registers a user,
okay,
and the other one that logs in a user. Okay. And whenever a user is logged in, it will return embedded token. So let me just copy paste the token type here. And that's going to be the embedded token.
Okay.
All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to create like a really short token, short-lived, like it has like a time to live TTL type of token. Yeah. And whenever user logs in, you get back a token, and using that token, you can query different resources in Fauna. Right. So that's why we can't really do a list post right now, because like I just realized we can't really do that because we don't really have a token right now. Like
gotcha.
We don't have a rules for that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so yeah, let's do the register user and login function first.
Okay. So I need to upload this schema so that it'll kind of register those functions for me. Is that right?
Yeah. But before we do that, however, we should also create a new index that will find user by email. And for now, let's just get rid of that.
Okay.
Okay. So here, what we did. We created a new index where users, like we can find users by email. Mm-hmm. And then we created a mutation to register user.
Okay. And
a login function. And all these functions will get created. And we're going to create these functions in a bit in Fauna. Okay. So
and now this find user by email, the reason this is going to work is because the email matches a field name here. And Fauna is smart enough to know that like if I'm looking for a user by email and the field to filter is email, if it can find a matching field, it just uses that.
Yes.
Okay, great. Let's get this thing uploaded. Here we go. All right. So this one's gone, but let's get a find user by email. Okay. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to put in my email and we'll just get a name. Hey, look at it go. So that's great. But we don't have our functions yet, so we can see these are both not implemented yet. So I would assume we probably want to start with register user first.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's go ahead and do the registered user. Okay. And again, I should have probably done this one first, just to that function was kind of scary, that the first one. So my bad. Okay, so register user FQL. Okay, so a register user FQL is going to look something like this. It's a really simple function. Yeah. So now I can kind of tell, like, kind of explain what this FQL does. Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So basically, query and lambda is just two keyword that defines, okay, this is going to be a function in Fauna. Mm-hmm. And email, password, and name is, these are in this order. We just pass in those two variables pretty much. And here, password parameter is a credential. So we're telling Fauna, hey, whenever you create this user, register this user, make sure to hide the password variable. And that's what it does.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when I go out here, then let's create a user. So I'm going to go mutation, and I want to register a user, and it wants my name. And so I'm going to put in JSON2 email, and we will go with one of those. And then password, I'm going to put in as super secret. And then what I get back is, let's look at name, email, password. And theoretically speaking, this password is not going to be what I put in, right? It's going to be like a hash or something.
Theoretically speaking, you're probably not going to get a password back. So
cannot return null for non-nullable type password. Okay, let's get rid of password.
Yeah.
Okay. What did I do? Set my name as super secret.
Oh, I think okay, I think I know what happened there. So if you go back to the function,
Mm-hmm.
so in our schema, uh, if you
Oh, we
take a
did it
look,
backwards.
yeah, we have to follow the order in our register. So we have to
Got
do
it.
name, email, and password. Um, okay, so in
Okay,
here,
so that was
no. I think if you go to the function,
email, password, name. Okay,
yeah,
so
so here,
email, password, name.
so we have to do name, email, password instead of doing that. In the function actually. If you go to the function,
Oh, you want to change it around in the function itself.
yeah,
Got it.
yeah, because because it's not safe to. So let's just switch the order to name, email, and password.
Oops. Okay, so we'll save,
And
go back here, undo what I did. So we'll go name, and then delete these. All right, so name, email, password.
yeah,
Run it again. Okay, that looks more correct. And I'm going to go into collections here and take a look at my users. And I have a JSON3. Good. And we don't have a password listed anymore.
yep,
Okay. All right. So it's just gone altogether, but it's not actually gone. It's just hidden. Like it's not available in the database, but it's like still present in terms of like we can have somebody log in with that password.
yep,
Got
and
it.
yeah, and that's that.
Okay. All right.
Let's do the login. Yeah, let's
Okay.
let's go ahead and do the login as well. Then, all right.
Okay. So that's going to be a function login. All right.
Yeah, and you'll see that the login is unimplemented.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just going to create that function for you here. GitHub and here, just going to paste that. And again, the query and the lambda just defines that this is a lambda function, and we pass in the email and the password,
Mm-hmm.
and what we get back is a secret
Mm-hmm.
and the user's ID and yeah, couple information. And again, like this, we could have just not have that in there.
Mm-hmm.
It would still work, but yeah, I just put it in there. So yeah, basically we're calling the login function, which is built in and baked into Fauna, and we're giving it a time to live. Like the token is going to be valid for 1800 seconds,
Mm-hmm.
and password is that password from there.
Got
Right?
it.
So
So then when I go out here
yeah,
and I go to my user and I say I want to log in,
mm-hmm.
I'm going to send in an email.
Yep.
So we'll go, that was the email that worked, I think. And then we're going to send in a password and I'm going to give it our super secret password. And then what I should get back is a TTL, a secret, email, and a user ID. Anything else I missed here? Nope, that looks right. Okay. Value not found at path 0.
Okay, that's weird.
Okay, let me just double check that I got my credentials right here. So it was Jason +3. Yep. I did that right. Jason +3. Good. And then in our function, we had it set up as, let's see, email password. So in our function, login, email password.
Okay. 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 What we can do is we can get rid of that user ID field. So get rid of the line 15 to 18.
Okay.
Yeah. We probably don't need that.
Save that. get rid of the user ID. And that worked.
Yeah.
Good.
All right.
Cool.
All right, awesome. So we pretty much have like a login function right now. We're pretty much able to create, register new user, log in the new user. We're also able to create like posts and connect to the user, all in the backend and through GraphQL. So now what we can do is we can start calling these mutations from our front end.
Okay.
So
all right. So let me close this one. Let me close this one. Close this one, and we get back to the schema, which we don't need anymore. So let's open up. Where should I go next?
All right. So let's go over to. Okay. So. All right. So let's go over to our components. So let's try to do the login function first. Okay. Let's go to the So here if you go to the login component, you see that on click, this is just opening sign up, but here's the login button, right? So on click, we're just going to ramp up we're just going to call the login user function.
Right.
Okay. So basically what we can do here, we can, let's implement this. So we're going to call the login function, right? So let me go ahead and just copy paste the entire thing over here. So this is the same user login mutation you're sort of using in the GraphQL playground. So I'm just going to copy paste that over here.
Drop that user ID because it's not going to work on 13.
Oh yeah, right. So let's do that. And here I'm gonna bring in the use mutation from GraphQL.
Okay.
So use mutation and GQL from GraphQL, and I'm also gonna import the cookie because that's secret. We want to save that secret. All right. Okay. So next, what we do, we create a function. So let's go ahead and do that. So right here, I'm just going to copy paste it from the finished code. Just because I think we're in a time crunch here.
Yeah, we're a little short on time for sure.
Yeah. All right. Okay, so.
And so what this is doing, use mutation from Apollo does the setup so that we get like the loading state, data loading error, and then gives us the login func so that we can execute the mutation. Like it doesn't call it right away because that would be chaos and we wouldn't be able to call it more than once. So this is giving us the ability to call that login function as many times as we need, which is different than use query if you've used Apollo's use query.
Exactly. And here we are handling the change. So set state, this is just a basic React, a state handler, change handler. So we're just updating the state based on whatever user inputs.
Where did that state function come from? Did we need to declare that?
Oh, yes. So we need to have a use state. Okay. So let me just do that right here. So state, set state. I'm just going to do state. Just call it null.
Okay.
Then I can just, bring in the user state and use, right there. Okay, awesome. All right, so now, once we hit login, we are going to call that login func. So basically, what we can do, so if we go over here, so we prevent default form behavior, and on login func, we're just gonna pass in the state, and once it's logged in, we're just if it goes into error, we're just console log the error,
Got
And
it.
once it's logged, yeah, and once it's logged in, we want to show some sort of alert or something. So I'm just going to create like use effect. So here we're listening on the data here.
Mm-hmm.
So when the data changes, we're just going to console log that, and we're going to use that cookie to set a new cookie in our browser, and it will expire at some time, whatever the TTL comes back
Mm-hmm.
as. And yeah, and we're just going to say, okay, user is logged in successfully. All right. And yeah, that's so let's go ahead and do that.
Yeah, let's give it a whirl. I think, yep, it's still running. So I'm going to just head back out to our dashboard here. Let's go to localhost. I need to go to 8888. Cannot find client in the context or passed in as an option.
Okay.
Let's see what went wrong here. Did we get a different error? Let's try that again. Nope, that was the right one. Anything happen over here? Nope, sorry, here.
Interesting.
No, we just get the could not find client. So then looking here, we've got our auth link, we've got the client, we export default client. So then when we get to our app, we import client at the top level, which should exist. So if we log our client, let's see what happens. 1 of 1 unhandled errors. But here's the Apollo client, but it still says use Apollo client. What's going on here?
Okay, that's maybe we have to restart the server.
Yeah, we can give it a shot. Let's see. Let's see what's going on here. Could not find client in the context or passed in as an option. Yeah, let's restart it. It still doesn't like it. So what don't you like? Got ApolloProvider. Then we get into this index, upload, API, components. We've got this one shared here. Use mutation. Okay. Why wouldn't you work?
Okay, that's a tough one.
Chat, you seeing the problem? Are we looking right at it? So data comes in, right? And then we have our login func. Do we get... Like, do we get this? No, so it fails before that, but if I go up here, do we get this far? This is what I would consider to be high level debugging. Let's try dropping this out and drop this out. And let's see if that brings us back. So it doesn't like uncaught at login on 32. What are you trying to do? Whenever the data changes, it's supposed to console log the data, which it's not doing. And then set state, login func. So we need this data. Okay. But we're never getting to this point in the app. So Let's see. Do you want to try just copy pasting your working logging component from the final, and let's see if we maybe we just typoed something.
Sure. Yeah. Let me do that. Okay, so components.
Okay, so the user ID is not going to work. Outside of the user ID, everything else looks the same. Here's our user login. Email password, good. That all is coming in. Yeah, let's give it a shot and see what happens. No, it does not like that client. That client is just missing. Let's try. Let's see. Client from Apollo client. And then when we look in here, export default client. There's nothing in here that says this shouldn't work. Okay, I'm stumped.
Yeah. Why don't we take a look at the final code for this and run through it quickly, because I'm not sure why.
Okay. Do you have this deployed somewhere so that we can peek at it, or do you want me to?
Yeah. So I do have it deployed somewhere. So just give me 1 second here. I'm just going to share the final code. You can get
Right.
that.
Yeah. Here's the.
Yeah, you can just clone the repository, and meanwhile.
Okay, let me go get this, and then I'm gonna move out to here, and we will make a directory called. Okay, then we're gonna GitHub repo clone. Let's move into it, and I'm gonna npm install. Okay. And then I can open this one up. And I think I might need to get you a new live share here. Let's go to here. And I'll let you set the .env on this, because I assume you've got one running.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So that's the final code, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. All right. So let me just get my .envs. Right.
And I won't follow you while you set those so that we don't give away the keys here.
Yeah. So can I just drop it to your?
Well, I just sent you a live share so that you can actually jump into the deployed code here.
Oh, okay. All right. So let me just close that.
But yeah, while you're doing that, I'll set up a .env.local. And I'm going to put some stuff into it. Okay, so those are set. I have a masking plugin here so that people can't see the values. And that should be enough for this to run. So let me stop over here, and we'll come over here and instead run npm run dev. Okay. So that is running. Now when I go over to localhost 3000, we've got code running here. Okay. So if I search for jellyfish, it searched, but it looks like it didn't update.
Yeah, so it's just okay. So the update is not implemented yet.
Oh, I
in the
got you.
list, but
Okay.
you can open up the console and you'll see that. Yeah. You'll see that it's actually, it's a unimplemented feature.
Cool. Okay. So we've got like a setup here where we're showing, we've got the search goes through, we get results back. So here are hits from Algolia. Good. So let's maybe just do a code walkthrough in the last 10 minutes to kind of get a sense of what changed here. So looking at the pages here, I'm going to go to the index. That brings up a feed component. So I'm going to go into this feed component and let's talk about what's happening here. Are you in the live share, by the way? No. Okay. So we set up a get post query. So this is that list posts, and it has, I'm assuming you implemented the timestamp that we didn't have time to implement. And then in here, we've got a Apollo use query that uses get posts, which is this one here. And that brings us back our loading state, data state, error state. Here's our search, which we'll look at in a second. And this is the columns. So we've got a menu. We've got the search. Okay, so I'm going to collapse that. And now we've got the videos themselves. And so the videos, each one runs to a video card. And the vid just comes right out of our schema. So if I look at this schema, let's see what changed. Not much, right? We've got each post, title, tag, author. Where did the videos get attached to the ID, or how were you uploading those?
Yeah, so every time you upload the video to Cloudinary, it gives you an ID, and that ID becomes the post ID. And this is why our list post kind of didn't work, because we didn't have the ID or the timestamp.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah. So basically that ID from Cloudinary becomes your ID in Fauna, and we just upload that. So
okay.
So basically all the minutes. Yeah.
Okay.
And you can also take a look at the pages/API.
Pages/API. So we've got an index video. And can you say more about what's happening in here?
Yeah. So every time, basically what happens here, every time you upload a video, you call this function, and all the video metadata also goes to Algolia search. So that way, like you're saving all the data in Fauna, you're saving the blob in Cloudinary, but the stuff that you want to search by goes to Algolia search. So basically you index those data and save that object to Algolia for searching. Yeah.
Gotcha. Cool. Yeah. So we've got the videos being indexed, And then
Mm-hmm.
this is, now that they are indexed, we can use Algolia to search for them, which this is what we saw in the console, where we do,
Mm-hmm.
we get the index, the video index, and then we search within that index for the
Mm-hmm.
search term, and then it responds with
Mm-hmm.
that data.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And yeah, and all these, like, once we deploy this to Netlify, these becomes our backend sort of like functions, serverless edge functions.
Nice. Okay. So then these will get deployed as Netlify functions under the hood. As far as your development experience goes, you just build them like you always would. Netlify does that stuff under the hood. We've got an index page, right? And then we've got an upload page. That upload page
Mm-hmm.
has an upload component. Looks like we've got
Yeah.
a file uploader that will
Yeah.
post the form data to Cloudinary, and then it creates a post that's in. Okay, all right. So I understand what's happening. So we go to Cloudinary and upload the video. Once we've uploaded the video,
Mm-hmm.
we get the public ID from the uploaded asset from Cloudinary. Then we reset the file in local state, get our user ID out of the Fauna session. Then, if we don't have a public ID, we just bail. Otherwise, we create a new post with an ID being the Cloudinary public ID. We set a title to whatever the title is set to. We set the user ID to the current user's ID. And then we add tags if there are tags. Otherwise, we upload an empty array. And when we get data uploaded, we post an alert to show that. And then we call this function to index the new video. Okay, so,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what's happening
Yep.
here. We let you know that it's uploaded, and then we add it to the Algolia index. And then down here, this is a form that gives us it's a file input. That file input takes a video name, it takes the tags, and then when you click this button, it calls that upload file function that we were just looking at. Okay, so that all makes sense. And then this video card is what actually displays it. It gets the video item that comes out of Fauna. And what I'm curious about is how you did this part, which is, okay, so you go to Cloudinary, and then you just grab it by its public ID and append a .mp4, which means that Cloudinary will serve it as an MP4. And then you're off to the races. Like we can see here that it's working. Here's my 3000, and yeah, we've got videos running from Cloudinary so that we can see them right there in the browser. So this, there's a lot of moving parts here, and it looks like we got something out of kilter. Probably just missed a piece of foundational stuff, and that's why we're seeing those errors. But this is powerful, and again, like, this isn't a ton of code, so y'all can see this. The source code is up here at Shadid12/TikTok clone on GitHub. I'll drop this one more time, so you can go and kind of dig into how, like, here are all the functions, the FQL functions that you'll need. You've got the schema that you'll need, and all of the rest of it just works. You'd have to go to Algolia, get your index keys, go to Fauna, set up an account, get a secret key, and otherwise you're ready to party.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, Shadid, this is some really cool stuff. Where would you recommend people go if they want to learn more about this? Like, if they want to go deeper?
Yeah, absolutely. So first of all, go look at the Next.js documentation. Go look at Fauna documentation, and you can always follow me. I'm actually doing a tutorial series where we're just gonna build a Notion from scratch in in Jamstack. So Netlify functions, Next.js, Fauna, and Algolia.
And where should
that's
somebody
going to
go
be a blog.
for that?
So I have a Substack, and I also have my Twitter. So please follow me on Twitter, or it's most likely going to be on my Twitter and my Dev too. So you can also follow me on Dev too. It's Shadid12. So please follow me, and I'll let you know whenever this tutorial series drops. So it's going to be it's going to be like a whole workshop type of thing where we just completely build Notion from scratch using Jamstack and Fauna.
Nice. Cool. Well, so with that being said, let's, make sure you go follow Shadid on Twitter, and, get on Dev2, get into those Fauna docs, those Next docs, and get out there and deploy something, because especially if you want to learn now, we've got something called Dusty Domains going on at Netlify, which is a fundraiser. Take any unused domain that you have, or I won't tell anybody if you don't, but you can just ship anything. You don't need a custom domain, and ship it to Netlify and submit it here, and we will donate $500 for every site that you submit, and there's no limit to how many sites you can submit. We've got a bunch of great partners chipping in, doing matches. We're up to $100,000 total donated to charity, and we're sending these to great charities. Go check all these out, and maybe consider donating yourself as well. But this is a really, really easy way to learn something new, to get something donated to charity, and to have a little bit of fun with folks. So go give it a shot, build something, ship it. Let me know that you shipped it. I'd love to see it. And with that being said, let's do another shout out to our captioning. We've had Rachel from Whitecoat Captioning here all day. Thank you so much, Rachel. That is made possible through the support of our sponsors, Netlify, Fauna, and Auth0. And while you're checking out things on the site, make sure you go look at the schedule. We've got a lot of really good stuff coming up. This, I believe, is our last stream of the year. We're going to take the holiday break, and we will be back on January 4th. Joel Hooks is going to be here again, and we're going to talk about marketing automation. So if you've ever been curious about how all that stuff works, you want to show people different pathways through a product as they, during their life cycle, Joel's doing some really cool stuff on that, and I would highly encourage you to check that one out. We're going to be learning TRPC, which I'm really excited about. I don't know anything about it, so I'm really excited for Alex to show up here and demystify it. We're going to get into Supabase. We're going to get into N8N. So many good things. So make sure you go check out that schedule. You can hit this Google Calendar button or follow on Twitch to get more of our good stuff here. And as always, you can go find all the episodes on YouTube or under this episodes tab. With that, we are out of time. Shadid, any parting words for everybody before we call this one done?
Yeah, thanks for sticking around, and thanks for having me, Jason. Really enjoyed it. Yeah.
All right, y'all. This has been a lot of fun. Thank you so much, Shadid. We're going to go find somebody to raid, so stay tuned. We will see you all next time.